Hello, everybody. My name is Jim, and I'm a gratefully recovering sex addict. Story number 6, Screaming Without a Voice, out of the SCA Program of Recovery book. I am a recovering sex addict, but I'm no SCA prodigy. I've learned from my many mistakes and have been blessed by having been offered this program and saying yes to it. I'm deeply grateful for every day of sexual abstinence that has been given to me by God's grace, and for learning from the experience of countless sex addicts I've known since I came into recovery. I will always be a sex addict. My acting out is just a symptom. What I get is a daily reprieve based on the maintenance of my spiritual condition. I know that no psychologist, pastor, policeman, or anyone else could have helped me with my sex addiction. It took one sex addict sharing with me how he got help through working the steps and using the principles of the program that taught me how not to act out one day at a time. Right up to the afternoon of September 24th, 1984, when I was arrested in a public area for trying to pick up a police officer, I thought that nothing could possibly happen to me. I'm the best little boy in the world, I thought. There will never be consequences and I'll never get caught. I'm too good, too smart. Nothing will happen to me. I lived in the illusion of denial. My acting out started in childhood. I was abused by a neighbor when I was around 5 years old, and he was 12. It changed me. My father drank and raged. My mother tried to hold the house together and had her own emotional problems. There was a lot of chaos and drama between them. Sexual touch became a way for me to relate to my peers. Every year I would say to myself, when I get a little older, I will stop this. How did I feel? There was little sense of nurturing trust or comfort in my home. There was little accountability. I rarely felt any affection or love from my father, and I was mostly afraid of him. I longed for connection and didn't know a healthy way to get it. As a young boy, I was plagued with feelings of insecurity, inadequacy, rejection, abandonment, and fear. In acting out, I was screaming when I could not voice my pain. My acting out took a giant leap when I got my driver's license at 16 and was able to drive to the public acting out places I had heard about. How did I feel? I was obsessed. I would feel a trance-like aura come over me. I had to have it. And I felt very little fear. I felt a great sense of anticipation leading up to acting out. Then afterward felt remorse, fear, anguish, and self-hatred. My acting out was anonymous sex with men in public places. This addictive cycle became ingrained in me. Addiction served me by repressing what I would not allow myself to feel. Addiction kept me from any authentic feeling. This compulsion to avoid my emptiness became a familiar state of mind, and it drove me to act out. I knew once this state started, there was no turning back. I rarely thought about why, I just did it. I did have some spirituality in those days. At 16 years old, I went to see the movie Brother, Sun, Sister, Moon about the life of St. Francis of Assisi. I was struck with a feeling of love and inner peace that I had never known. I loved St. Francis, and especially related to his struggles with his father and his longing to experience the love of God. I yearned to be free of all the all-consuming guilt and shame. St. Francis has been with me now for over 40 years, never far from my mind and heart, transforming me at a subconscious level. Reading and memorizing the St. Francis prayer was a significant spiritual experience that offered hope. A seed was planted, but went dormant till I got into recovery. In college in the 1970s, I led a double life. I lived in a fraternity house by day, and by night I had anonymous sexual encounters. It became a daily obsession. I would wake up and tell myself that I was not going to act out, and then find myself cruising for sex a short time later. I was filled with anxiety and had no insight into why I did the things I did. I started drinking compulsively and took prescription drugs for anxiety. A counselor was very concerned about my drinking, but I ignored it. Life was a struggle, but I managed to continue in school. It wasn't until much later in my recovery that I understood the compulsion to act out was a convoluted human survival instinct for affection. Unconsciously, I felt I had to act out in order to survive, that if I didn't get my fix, I would die. The acting out was tied to my human instincts for survival and my desperate need to avoid authentic feelings. I did a graduate internship in the summer of 1979 in Santa Barbara, California. I felt dead inside. I learned how to act as if I was a real human being, but everything I did was with the addiction in mind, always searching for the next fix, the next trick. Southern California was beautiful. I lived near the beach and the acting out areas. There I did cocaine for the first time, but there was nobody home, nobody inside. Acting out was the only thing that made me feel alive. When I wasn't working, I was acting out. I moved back to St. Louis in 1980. I spent countless hours in acting out places, hating it, feeling empty when I left, vowing never to go back. I couldn't get any clarity or vision for my life, and I felt horrible about myself. Compulsive cruising became driven by resentment, feeling victimized and cheated by life. I would rehearse the resentments, mostly about my parents, over and over, all about what they didn't do and what I didn't get, how I felt cheated. In 1981, I was diagnosed with chronic aggressive hepatitis B. That was a game changer because it was life-threatening. I was told not to drink. It scared me and I felt powerless. I thought I would die from it. A year later, friends came back from Key West, Florida, with stories about a strange disease affecting gay men. It scared them, but I remember saying it was probably no big deal. 1983 brought more news about HIV. I was scared. I had already had several venereal diseases by then. Gay men started talking about taking care of their health. While I knew that my acting out was like playing Russian roulette, I could not stop. Next came a dream move to Munich, Germany for a geographic cure. I was determined to get out of the vicious cycle of drugs and sex. But within 48 hours of arriving in Munich, I had found the acting out places and the patterns just repeated themselves. I lived within a walking distance of a huge acting out area, and it became a daily and nightly obsession. I lived in the fog of active sex addiction, and my drinking escalated. I had no insight or awareness into why I was doing what I was doing. It was a cycle where the pressure built, cruising started, obsession kicked in, I scored the fix, burned out, and felt the remorse, and the pressure started building again. Over and over, same show, different actors. Same outcome, empty, dead, and filled with guilt and shame. I knew something was terribly wrong. I knew I was wasting my life and vaguely sensed it couldn't go on, but the justification to act out always kicked in. I desperately wanted to find that special someone and thought, how else am I going to meet someone to date? When I met someone acting out who wanted to get to know me, I felt either claustrophobic and had to get away, or became overly attached and scared him off. I feared I would become like the older men I saw at the acting out haunts, haggard, with longing, empty eyes, having lived lives of regret and despair. That's what I believed I was sentenced to. My life was hopeless. I came home from Germany in 1984, and 3 months later, I was arrested for sexual misconduct. I started a year-long decline towards my bottom and came to know incomprehensible demoralization on a daily basis. I was put on probation and knew that if I got caught, I would go to jail. Still, I could not stop acting out. Neither the fear of going to jail nor the possibility of contracting AIDS could stop me. At 27, all I wanted was to stop acting out. The same wish I had had since childhood. One part of me wanted to survive, to have a life, a career, a partner, but the other part, the addict, always got his way. I attended my first 12-step meeting in November of '85 and had a spiritual awakening. A weight was lifted off my shoulders when I heard that my behavior wasn't all my fault, that I suffered from a disease, and that there was a solution. Eventually, I got up the courage to ask someone if they'd ever heard of a 12-step program for promiscuity, and I found a sexual recovery program. I learned in meetings that emotional growth stops when the compulsion starts. Where was I emotionally? I was a scared child who ran from challenges and intimacy because he didn't know how to deal with them in a healthy way. I got a sponsor and began to heal. However, after 6 months of white-knuckling abstinence, I decided I had had enough. I was miserable and made the decision to go back and act out. Watching myself go through the same old rituals was an out-of-body experience. I went to act out and started talking to someone. The first thing this person said was that he had just gotten into AA. I told him I had just gotten into sexual recovery, and he said, "Well, what are you doing here?" And I told him I shouldn't be there, and he said, "Well, let's get out of here." We left. I did not act out that night. This was God doing for me what I could not do for myself. Still, I was in a very bad, dark place. I stayed on my couch, wrapped in a blanket, and just shook all night. I was scared to death. I called a treatment center and met with a therapist the next day. I poured out my story to him, and he said, "Although it seems like you're at the lowest point in your life, I think you're actually at the highest point you've ever been, because you've finally gotten to a safe enough place where you are ready to deal with your unconscious wounds. You are ready to recover." SCA has given me the power to face my pain and taught me how to live authentically out of the sex addict fog. My connection with fellow addicts gives me the language of authentic communication. I have started to discover and nurture my true self. At 27, I was lost to the vicious cycle of the sex addict fog. At 37, I was sober, going to meetings, growing, doing therapy, dating, struggling with my job, and frequently angry about something. At 47, I was sober, going to meetings, still growing up, still angry, and still dealing with depression and anxiety. Now, at 68, I'm getting a taste of emotional sobriety, and I am grateful for most things, most days. In the past, I used my body to blot out painful messages and feelings. Today, I know that my body is the vehicle to healing, and that every time I don't act out, I'm stronger. I have gone back and worked through the repressed anger, sadness, frustration, and disappointments I avoided by acting out in order to heal these old wounds. It is more important to me now than ever to stay connected to my higher power, my recovery community, and to the deepest part of me. Practicing the 11th step through a daily meditation practice keeps me open to the gifts of the program. Anytime that I am on the beam, close to my heart, grateful, generous, loving, kind, compassionate, helpful, thoughtful, forgiving, productive, or open. It's the spirit of the program and all the good people I've known and loved working through me. Thank you for listening to my story.